How many of us actually read through long end-user licensing agreements or check what kind of information a new app is collecting about us from our phones? For the most part, we tend to see apps and online tools as an effective way to reach our students or as a fun way to bring technology into the classroom. We may not take the time we should to consider privacy. Educators and students need to understand that if an app or service doesn't have a financial cost, it may have significant data costs. In addition, generative AI presents issues with inherent bias, which can lead to reinforcing harmful stereotypes in the output it generates. Given these challenges, how can we prepare students and ourselves to navigate this tech-fueled landscape with a more informed perspective? The number of online apps and services that collect data has exploded. In the early days of call, software stood alone, and everything the student did stayed on the computer. Then technology shifted to web-based applications, which could collect some data, but not much that was personally identifiable. The last decade, however, has seen a shift to mobile computing. Apps on our phones are able to collect significant data about us, not just how we use the app, but also names in our contact lists or even where we go. While each particular point of data may be minor, when combined, they can deliver an overview of a person's day with stark accuracy. For example, here's a small segment of the data collected by the popular messaging app, WhatsApp. This particular app can collect our data, track our internet usage across other applications or websites, share or sell our data to other companies, and use it for many different purposes, whatever that means. How much could possibly be shared though? Well, this much. This image shows just a segment of the businesses engaged in buying and selling online user data. The sheer number is overwhelming, and we can't possibly parse this image. Generative AI software presents the same issue. OpenAI's terms of service state that ChatGPT may track users across websites, collect location data, or share data without consent. By simply using the service, we agree to this data collection. As the growth of AI continues, the demand for data will be even more problematic. Modern AI is founded on the idea that more data means it could be more accurate. So large language models, or LLMs, are trained on all the data they can find. If we have students put work online, such as videos or blog-based writing, their data could be scraped and used to train LLMs. We discourage students from taking the work of others as their own, yet AI software does exactly that. Furthermore, what students do in apps will frequently be tracked and shared with advertisers, and potentially linked to the devices they use outside of class. You may have experienced this yourself when you search for hotels in a Maps app, and then see travel advertisements in your web browser. Implications on student privacy are real, especially when students use their own devices in the classroom. If a student were to browse LGBTQIA-related content on their device at home in a country with discriminatory laws, the student might see LGBTQIA-focused ads on the app while they use it in class. It's also possible for governments to track browsing histories, which may have unintended or even dangerous consequences for students. It may be an unlikely occurrence, or it may not happen in our classroom, but what if it does? While we may not think much about having students download an app or use AI, especially if it's free, we do need to consider the consequences. Early research suggests that when it comes to cheating, language learners are more likely to be accused of using AI to cheat. In an analysis of 8th grade essays, AI detection software was able to determine with near perfect accuracy whether a paper was AI generated. However, these same AI detectors wrongly flagged over half of student-written TOEFL essays as being AI generated. Remember that generative AI essentially keeps asking what word should be next in a sentence. When we see writing that makes us think this was clearly written by AI, it is because the software has continually picked the most likely next word. While AI can be programmed to seem more spontaneous, this predictability is a hallmark of early generative AI-produced writing. The reason AI detectors flag student work as AI generated is that early-stage language learners may also write in formulaic ways, such as using a word or sentence structure repeatedly, just like generative AI. When I first began using AI image generation software with my university students, I thought an interesting class activity could be to have them write sentences and then have AI generate images based on what they wrote. My initial test of the idea, though, showed me that the more non-Western cultures were referenced, the more AI would produce stereotypical imagery. If AI doesn't show our students or only shows them as stereotypes, it can perpetuate feelings of exclusion. If our students see themselves reflected back in harmful stereotypes, teachers will need to be prepared to discuss the issue. The goal here isn't to discourage tech use in the classroom, but to understand that it can inadvertently introduce bias and expose students to data vulnerability. So what can we do? There are some basic best practices we can model for our students to safeguard them against these potential dangers. When teaching students about privacy concerns, show them how to disable tracking on their devices. For example, you might help students access the privacy settings on their phones and show them how to disable location sharing, opt out of personalized advertisements, and reset their device's advertiser ID. If possible, use web browsers instead of apps. Less data can be collected when using browsers to access services, and extensions such as Privacy Badger can be installed in browsers to further limit data collection. These extensions allow users to block specific tracking techniques, such as cookies. Encourage students to do digital housekeeping. Have students delete the apps they no longer use. Even though you may not use an app, it can still collect and send data about your device to advertisers. Offer alternatives to using apps if possible. If we require students to use AI for a classroom assignment, we are requiring them to give up a level of privacy. If a student is privacy conscious and refuses to use AI or an app, would they fail the assignment, or would accommodations be made? Let's say you wanted students to make a video and post it to Facebook, Instagram, or another social media site. Could the student instead record a video and email it to the instructor? When dealing with AI, refrain from characterizing it with human traits or pronouns. When we humanize software, we tend to trust it more or share more personal information than we should. It's also important to fact-check information given by AI. When AI has insufficient data or makes incorrect assumptions, it is said to have a hallucination. Teach students that AI software can be incorrect and that they should check information provided by AI with other sources. Furthermore, before using AI, learn about the company which developed the software and have students read through the software's terms of service to find out who benefits from this AI and who might be negatively affected by it. Websites such as Terms of Service Didn't Read can help make terms of service and privacy policies easier to understand. AI is never neutral, and knowing more about the corporations that make it and their policies can make us more informed consumers. Do a bit of research to find out what data sets the company uses and how diverse the executive leadership is. As our students come of age in a data and AI-driven world, we need to be conscious consumers of technology and encourage our students to develop an understanding of how AI and other technologies work. We need to move past the cool tools discussions and begin the tough conversations on how these tools often fail to reflect the majority of us and can contribute to data privacy concerns. It is up to us educators to guide our students in navigating the complexities of this ever-changing tech landscape.